Do you know there are only a few countries in the world that don't fit into a single continent? Even fewer are true transcontinental countries, nations where their contiguous land stretches directly across two continents. Most of us can name 3 or 4, but the 5th one might surprise you. At number 1 is Russia, the most popular example of a transcontinental country. The world's biggest country stretches all the way from Europe into Asia, with the Ural Mountains forming the geographical boundary within the country. At number 2 is Turkey. The larger part of the country, known as Anatolia, is in Asia, and the small section in the northwest, known as East Thrace, is in Europe. Interestingly, its largest city, Istanbul, sits right on the dividing line. Number 3 is Egypt. It is officially an African country, but a small part of Egyptian territory known as the Sinai Peninsula lies in Asia, making Egypt another example of a contiguous transcontinental country. At number 4 is Kazakhstan, a country officially in Asia, but with a surprising foothold in Europe. Here is how it works. The is year 1221. Genghis Khan has just crushed the Khwarezmian Empire and is standing on the banks of the Indus River. Staring him in the face is the richest region in the world at the time, India. The door is wide open, but then he simply turns around and leaves. The Mongol conquest of India stopped before it ever truly started. According to legend, as Genghis Khan prepared to invade, he was visited by a talking unicorn, the Chailin, atop a mountain that told him, "Turn back for safety." And so he did. In reality, a combination of strategic and geographic factors convinced Genghis that India was better left alone. The Mongol superweapon was the composite bow, which allowed expert horse archers to shoot accurately while galloping at high speeds, even backwards. It relied on layers of horn and sinew held together by special animal glues. On the dry steppes, these bows were deadly, but in the wet tropical heat of India, that glue would soften, causing them to warp or snap and neutralizing their greatest tactical advantage. Plus, the empire was already overextended. Genghis was juggling wars in Iran, Central Asia, and China. Most people know that 80% of all Americans live east of this line, while only 20% occupy the western part of the United States, thanks to countless videos on the topic. But do you know that there exists an empty belt of land which runs vertically from the Canadian border to the Mexican border? This belt has an area of approximately 350,000 square miles, roughly similar to the size of Turkey, or about 12% of the contiguous U.S. landmass. Despite its vast size, this belt contains only 1% of the total U.S. population. Why is that? The main reasons are history and geography. Early American settlement began in the east with the original 13 British colonies. Development then moved into the Midwest, fueled by the transport and irrigation advantages of the Mississippi River. Later, driven by resource booms like the 1849 gold rush, major West Coast cities such as San Francisco and Los Angeles began to take shape, leaving the vast interior empty belt largely bypassed. Also, within this same belt, powerful Native American tribes, including the Sioux, Cheyenne, Kiowa, Comanche,
Venezuela is blessed with good geography. Located in northern South America, bordering the Caribbean Sea and the North Atlantic Ocean between Colombia, Brazil, and Guyana, Venezuela is a gem, boasting a diverse ecosystem. The Andes rise majestically in the west, while the Monte Oso system dominates the north and east. The flat Maracaibo lowlands surround Lake Maracaibo and the Gulf of Venezuela, while the Orinoco lowlands, also known as the Llanos, lie between the mountains and river. Salt flats stretch along the eastern coast, and the highly dissected Guyana highlands rise in the southeast. The country also includes 70 islands. The country's highest peak is Pico Bolivar at 5,007 meters. The capital city, Caracas, is located in the northern region, and the main river is the Orinoco. Additionally, Venezuela is home to Angel Falls, the world's tallest waterfall. Venezuela is also rich in natural resources, with some of the largest oil and gas reserves in the world. The country is abundant in iron ore, gold, bauxite, hydropower, and diamonds.
Why are there two Koreas? Korea was under Japanese rule from 1905. When Japan lost World War II in 1945, Korea gained independence, but Soviet forces entered from the north while US forces arrived from the south, dividing the peninsula along the 38th parallel into 2 states, a communist north and a non-communist south. In 1950, North Korea invaded the south. UN forces, led by the US, pushed back the invaders and nearly reached the Chinese border. Then China and the Soviet Union sent troops and weapons to support North Korea, driving the front line back to near the 38th parallel, the border that still exists today.